Yes, I'd like to tell you a story. When people tell me they are stuck, feel exhausted, they want to change something, I'd point to that poster and I tell, well, there's a river running through a city in Switzerland, in Bern. It's fresh water. It comes from the glacier. So it's really refreshing. And people in Bern, they love to jump in and to have a refreshment. And they will say, wenn du die willst treiben, musst du zuerst können loslassen. Nobody understands this in Germany because it's Bern German. It means if you want to drift, you really have to let go and to get in a new flow. So,
And you heard quite a bit about what I did. My main relationship to flow is more in the air. For the whole life, I had flown gliders everywhere in the world, in Australia, in South Africa. So I had got a very good feeling how flow works in the air. And maybe this helps me to develop that good feeling how flow works in patients, which is, both is a bit very different from water. And flow, of course, also in music instruments such as the Alphorn, as you have heard. And I did a presentation 2022 in Slovenia. Probably I had some people in the workshop from Asian Pacific Mental Health who wrote me an email later on, and that's why we are here. And actually, we didn't know, how big the audience was and how diverse. And we already got to know you, or some of you a little bit, but we still wonder, who is a practitioner, who is more from the university, and who is both.
who is practitioner? Like we are.
Okay. Who is more from the university or only, and who is both? Yeah, very good. So you're very hybrid.
I did not see where you showed up. You're a practitioner and scientific worker.
Okay. Thank you. Learning lots.
Yes, we want to talk about flow, resonance in various fields in order to develop some ideas how to transfer and apply the concepts into your fields and perhaps into your private life. Some ideas.
And because usually there's a lot of theory, decided or thought we could start a little meditation. Maybe in Asia, this is much more common than in Europe, but I would like to lead through a little flow and resonance meditation. If you want to participate, feel free, otherwise you just listen. Meditation starts like this, that if you feel comfortable, you close your eyes if you feel comfortable. You get into contact with flow. And one very easy thing is that you observe your breath, how you breathe in, how you breathe out. And actually, that's a flow, which means you're connected with yourself, or in the words of our speech, you're in resonance, or you come in resonance simply by observing your breathing, how it fills you, how it empties you. And you may get into this flow. And the flow also helps to create an inner space in which often it's possible to make new experiences, something that is very important for our patients, that they can make new learning experiences. Just stay for a moment in this flow maybe you're very close, or maybe you still have stressful images. You can just let them go by breathing out, and by breathing in. You get new, fresh energy, which you certainly need for today, for whatever comes. And I leave you for a few moments. And then, when it's okay for you, slowly come back into this room, vanilla room, here in Bali. You can take a few deep breaths. If you like, you can stretch your arms so that you are all the way back into this beta everyday mode, fully cognitive, and you may yawn if you like to, just feel free. Yeah, and you can think for a few moments, how was the experience? Did it help me to get into the flow, or what else would I have needed to get into this flow? I often do that with my patients after we had talked, after I had done some psychoeducation, after they have revealed their problem. Usually then I have quite many figures in wood standing here, one for the critic, one for the one that asks questions, etc. And often I let them meditate, and that's a help for them to get new insight.
We already told, we like to tell stories, so you're going to hear two different stories. Us will tell one, the next one,
Yeah.
and you will present a case study afterwards. Stories that were not written for therapeutic settings, but can easily be taken for that.
As a therapist, you already discover, or often discover, the therapeutic approach. This is Rees. He's a boy living in the European Alps, very high up. He looks after cows and goats, and you may have heard the story of Heidi, the girl. And Heidi, she had a friend, Peter, Geißenpeter, we call him in German Goat Peter, and he's a bit like Goat Peter, and looking after goats the whole time. They ran all around in the mountains. You have to bring them all back in the evening, so it's a really demanding job, and Rees was always very tired. And actually, he was also in search. He knew that couldn't be all just looking after goats. He was longing for something that connected him to something much deeper. And one evening, he just woke up because he heard a loud banging down in the room where they usually make cheese. And he was so surprised that he saw three strange guys dancing around this cauldron, copper cauldron in which they make cheese. And Rees was quite scared. And then the eldest of the three guys, he poured some of the liquid into a red bowl, and the other liquid into a green one, and the third liquid into a white milky bowl. And suddenly Rees was discovered, and he was really scared. And they took him down and they said, well, don't worry, no problem. And they said, if you drink of this red bowl, you will be the strongest boy in the Alps. They thought about it. If you drink from the green one, you will get the juiciest meadows, and all your goats will be very happy. And if you drink of the white one. Then Andreas thought, now what is coming now? And then he heard a beautiful melody. Andres immediately knew, this is what I want. I want this music instrument. And of course, what does the story show you? If you get in contact with your longing, or if you get into resonance, then there is flow, and it has an effect on mental health. And that's actually all we wanted to say today. So it's finished. Of course, it's not, but that's actually, the stories. And I could also tell this to my grandchild, who was 7 years old, and she understood the story. But of course, we want to tell you a few more things. Yes.
The Alphorn. You heard it, originally a working tool of the peasants for gathering flock. It's a wind instrument. It is tuned in natural or overtone series, which is quite different to our usually heard music, which is tuned more in metric sizes and not in those overtone series you will talk about shortly afterwards. Yes, the sound is blown in the way you push the air into that instrument, and the better you choose the surroundings, the better resonance is. In the Alps, you can blow against a stone wall and you hear several echoes. It's amazing. Or under a bridge or in a big hall or in a cathedral, sound is really resonating with all the room inside. And so the question is how to take your breath and to form the lips and to use those tiny little muscles to bring out a melody and to stand upright and to have the thrive to blow, but also to be in a good surroundings. Okay. In the Romantic period, it became a symbol for nature, simplicity, and the healing of that simplicity. In Romantic times, at the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th century, people had a swing back from rationalism. They said sentiment is important. Our individuality is important, not only reasoning, but longing, feeling. And so many things from nature became important, and Alphorn became a symbol for that longing. And longing, having a solution, feeling good, that's quite a therapeutic topic too. Justinus Kerner lived in that period and he was part of the Romantic period. He was a physician actually, but well connected with poets, theologists, and some colleagues around him. They often met. But he was one who combined his academic interest. Actually, that guy described the botulinum toxin. So he had really some academic award, and this kind of combined his academic interest with his fascination for those unusual but natural phenomena like Alphorn, magnetism, trance. And as far as we know, he was one of the first who applied those things in therapeutic ways when he ran the clinic for psychiatry in South Germany.
Oh, sorry.
Oops, maybe we went
Yeah.
back or
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, often Martina and I, we hike in the high mountains where not only Rez and his goats are, but where still a lot of farmers live. They spend their time in the summer up because it's really, the grass is very juicy there. And in the evening, when all the goats and cows are done, milked, then the farmer gets out and he has a little altar with a cross on it and he shouts a prayer. He prays very loud. It's a mixture of praying and singing, a bit unusual even for our ears because we come from, more flat land, but we often go there and I would like to play a little sample and even afterwards it's often accompanied by an Alphorn melody by an Ave Maria. And when one imagines how many threats there are avalanches, stone fall, animals may fall over the rocks, they have diseases, there are a lot of threats. But these people, they are much closer to the spirits than like people in Zurich or Bern. And this is something I feel in Bali too, the island of the gods. People are very, very much closer to the spirits. That's what we sense coming from Europe or from other continents.
Traditional horns, they are made from alpine fir trees. Those trees grow up high in the mountain and they are knocked down by avalanches, snow, and they will grow upwards again. And people cut those trees, carve them out, and here we have the Alphorn, the wooden Alphorn. A great metaphor, I think, for life events, stressful life events, to grow upwards again and to grow, to be in bloom and so on. And to have a beautiful sound made of those carving. And you have seen modern horns. They can have different materials, but the sound is the similar. Modern horns are made of carbon, which has to do, in a way, with the wood, the carbon. And they come in parts so that we don't have that heavy luggage in the airplane for about 3 meters. So, and not to carry 11 kilograms, but only 2.
Yeah, but often it's a trouble, when you land at the airport and you wait for the luggage on the conveyor belt, your suitcase doesn't come and come and come, and finally it comes. And also 2 policemen come and say, come with us, because they want to know what strange things you have in your luggage. But then
Yes.
usually we pack it out and play a few melodies, and then I say, all okay. And as Martina already have mentioned, it's the tone, the difference between the tones is very different. In the piano, it's just one tone has exactly the same difference to the next one. But in a natural tone series, the tones get closer and closer and closer and closer. And in eternity, can't even distinguish them anymore. And when today's ears listen to them. I don't know about in Asia, but in Europe, they say some sounds are strange. And I had marked them yellow. They're a bit too high or too low. And I would point, which
They are a
you
bit
can.
higher or lower than we are used to it. And I'm very interested in how you will feel this.
But it may make this very strong connection or this resonance. Sometimes when we play somewhere, people even have tears. And I think it's because of these maybe yellow sounds or the whole combination. So natural tone series. And one could say a lot more if one analyzes a sound. Also, here you have a sound spectrum. One sound is also built up within the overtone series. And the difference, like between a voice and the violin, is just the strength of the individual part in the sound. And what I find very philosophical, in between the space, in between the sounds, is silence. So actually, a sound is more silence than sound, but our brain makes this illusion of one sound, but actually, that's a whole illusion. But we heard yesterday with trauma also, we produce a lot of illusions and we think it's the reality, but that's more philosophical. Many years ago, I had a chance to do a sabbatical in Australia, and I thought first, should I bring now chocolate or cheese? What should I bring? And then I learned to play the Alphorn. And with this, I had a chance to meet a lot of natives, and I had 2 Alphorns with me, and one native, Lurik, he was very much interested in the Alphorn. So I took one part away, and then he blew into it, and it sounded like a didgeridoo. And then we decided to play a little duet. Yes, there I realized too, through music, if you have the right tool, you can establish contact with people, which otherwise is impossible. I had just finished my psychology studies and I realized that's way too cognitive. That wouldn't work. But with music, it's very easy. But it's probably in Asia and your culture similar. We come to now some phenomena in resonance. I don't know if here you may have heard the story of Jericho. It's a famous story in our Christian Bible. People, when they entered the area there, they blew their horns, but they couldn't enter the city because it had high walls, and when they walked around, blew their horns, all the walls collapsed. We are actually not so sure if it was exactly that way. It could have been also because of the attraction of the horns. All the soldiers ran to one side, on the other side it was unprotected. But there are different theories, but I like the one with the horns blowing. And I don't know if you know, I spent some military service, or quite a bit, which is compulsory in Switzerland. And as soldiers, we were not allowed in March to walk over a bridge because of the resonance, and resonance can make a bridge collapse. So that was strictly forbidden. Yes, okay. It's a reality, it's true.
Yes. Okay. Well, in physics, resonance has to do with vibration, and in a psychic meaning, we also talk about good vibrations when we are in good relationship. Hartmut Rosa, a German sociologist, he pointed out that there are 4 moments in resonance phenomena as an interactional phenomenon. He said there's the moment of touch in the story of Fries, that was this feeling interested. Well, this is a sound I never heard. The moment of the answer, I want to have it. Let me see it, let me touch it. The transformation, I want to be a player, for example. And the 4th aspect is the unavailability. You never know. Is there a good resonance if you do not try it? You may have the impression that that will be good sound. It will be interesting to be in that party, but might be you'll get disappointed, or you say, well, I go there, and afterwards you can say, it was great. Lucky that I did it. So it's the unavailability of resonance that is such an important part.
One of the pictures here, this picture comes from the 16th chapter. You may have seen it. It's God touching Adam and bringing that spark of life.
Resonance is an important factor in human relationships. I already said it, and it's important in the building up of attachment. Probably you know about the attachment theory of Ainsworth and Bowlby, but it's just so impressing, that video from the still face experiment, that we thought, well, it might be interesting to see it under that aspect of resonance, and just watch how this baby is trying to get in resonance with mom again once the resonance between mom and the baby is interrupted when she freezes her face. And happy reunion. That's what relationships are about, to restore the relationship. Okay, let's just have a look.
A still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age. And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her. This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing that?" It's 2 minutes when they don't get a normal reaction. They react with negative emotions. They turn away. They feel the stress of it. They actually lose control of their posture, stress that they're experiencing.
That's where we got it from. Okay. Mhm. So we are going to tell you another story, the story about a boy and the river. Perhaps you know that book. Does anybody know? Okay, there are so impressive pictures inside, so we choose it. At school, I hide at the end of the class. I hope they don't want me to talk. When my teacher asks me, all my classmates turn around and look at me. My mouth is full of words, but I can't speak. I am so scared. My dad picks me up and takes me to the river. We walk along. It's good to be with Dad, not speaking, just walking. Then Dad points to the river.
See how that is. That's how you speak. You speak like this river.
Dad says, I talk like a river. And this is what helps me to stop me from wanting to cry. This is what helps me when words don't come easily. I think of the proud river, bubbling, churning, crashing, whirling. I talk like a river. And then I think of the river beyond the rapids, where the water is smooth and glistening. I go to school and talk in front of the class. I talk about my favorite place in the world, the river. I talk like a river. Well, a boy who has trouble because he has got a speech fluency disorder. And he learned to cope with it, not because all the stuttering was away, but he found his way to cope. Helpful was that he could get away from the stressful moment. He went with his father, who was containing his stress, and he came into resonance with that impression. There is some similarity between the river and me, and the river is so full of energy, and I can see that energy and feel it. I already dive into that flow, whirling, bubbling, and so on. And then the boy got energy to talk, though he had that fluency, that speech fluency disorder. There was the moment of transformation. He got energy to cope with it once he had that feeling of there is something I can come in touch with.
And of course, there is a lot said about flow, energy. One of our favorite is the Hungarian psychologist Csikszentmihalyi. Bit strange to write, but Csikszentmihalyi is the pronunciation. I think he lived and later on in the United States. He said many things. Two of the things I want to point out. Number 1 and number 4. Number 1, it's an optimal state of consciousness. When you are in this optimal state, you are fully focused. Like the boy suddenly was fully focused on the river, and he realized, hey, the river is like me, the river is smooth, the river makes all kinds of funny noises. That's like me, and for everybody, the river is okay. So these 2 points, focused state, focused attention, and whatever we do when we play an instrument, or maybe right now we too are focused fully on our speech, not thinking about what we should go shopping back home. Yes, so that's 2 things that really help. And when you're in that flow, it just flows, it just happens. And flow sometimes Martina and I experience when we are back home in the Alps.
And just take your time to realize, what are you doing when you are in flow?
Mm-hmm. When we are in flow, we walk through the Alps, and with the temperature, it feels a bit like on this picture. We have our Alphorns with us. We find a beautiful spot where we can play, drink our hot coffee.
Yes, to warm up.
And there's a beautiful echo and acoustic. You play one sound, you hear 5 sounds from here, here, everywhere. It's just like in a concert hall, and we are all by ourselves. But flow is also very important in Bali, as I have noticed when I was here in June.
Well, you heard it when we were introduced. You're a participant of a supervision group who uses music, and you're going to talk a bit about this.
Yeah, we are a group of psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatrists. And when we present our case, we do not analyze, but there are about 50 or 100 music instruments, and then just through intuition, we pick a music instrument, and as a whole group, we started to make music. And once I remember a colleague, she presented a case of a possibly patient with depression, and then we made music, and at the end, the leader always asks, what did you feel? He didn't want to know, what were thoughts are, but how was it, that experience? And the psychiatrist, remember, she said, well, depression feels very different. This patient doesn't have a depression. And we were very surprised. How did we find out? But we had another approach. And there's a little sound example, like where you can feel that we were searching what is really the problem. Here it comes. Yeah, it's another way of gaining diagnostic information than just in through a rational way.
Psychic problems, stress, that means tension in the body. We heard it yesterday when you talked about that brain spotting. Little van der Kolk, an American psychiatrist, he talks about the body keeps the score. And we all know how we feel when we are stressed. It's really tension, breath changes, and all the underlying subconscious things happening. But one way to deal with that psychic stress also is to help the body to calm down and to release a bit. And there is good evidence to do this with smooth movements, not only those by lateral movements and psychotherapy, but also in somatic therapy. There is pretty much advice to do yoga, qigong, tai chi, and so on. I would like to practice something that can be applied without training, without extra training. Perhaps you do it together with me or just lean back and listen. Just take your time a bit to relax, to breathe in and out, and to observe, look into your body. Are there some impulses for movement? You can stretch out a bit. You can move your shoulders, your fingers. You can stretch your legs and your toes. And by doing so, you might observe that your breath is deepening. And so keep on doing, feeling good. And it might happen that it comes into your mind some memories about kids feeling good, or a cat or a dog stretching out, lying in the sun, being at a rest. And still keep on doing so. And then I do invite you to watch more your breath and to intensify exhaling by doing some silly noises like boom or humming or horse snorting. Mm. You can experiment how it sounds. And when you do this a couple of minutes, you get a better feeling what happens inside of the body. The vibration spreads out. It's not only in the lips that feel a bit special, but it's in the stomach, in the chest, it's in the toes and in the fingertips, in the head. And that is something that helps to release tension. So what did we do? It is something that Julie Henderson, an American Buddhist nun, she calls it Zapchen or well-being. And I do like this pretty much because it's just so easy to practice. Everyone can do it. Every time. It's a bit silly, it's a bit childish, and that's something that interrupts us from being in stress.
We come to the last story case study to make a long, complicated story short. It was about a patient. She came 2 years ago. Part of her house burned down. Her friend complained that she had smoke in the evening and she had burns in the morning, just very strange. And I suggested that she must have a part that really didn't belong to her or a part in which she didn't have contact. She was surprised, but I could establish a contact with that part through hypnosis, through resource therapy, and I could help that dissociated part to find the place where it belonged to. Of course, it took quite some time, but as a result, her partner said there is no more smoke, and the patient got quite relaxed and could establish a more stronger, trustful relationship. What was I using? I was using from resource therapy, a further development of ego states therapy by an Australian, Professor Gordon Emerson. He says it's very important to get in contact with that trauma state and see what does the trauma state needs. And as you mentioned yesterday, dissolve this illusion that it's still happening now. Very important. And the whole psyche we consider as a mosaic. If all the parts are happy, not pathological, then that's good mental health. And the therapy is to help these different parts to get into good health. And some of the developers started with Sigmund Freud, and down to the right we have Gordon Emerson. And another part that helps us very much is hypnosis. Here we have the god of hypnosis, hypnos, thanatos, caring a body. It's on a Greek base. And what is hypnosis? Actually, it's an altered state of consciousness in which healing resources, helpful resources can easily be reached. And I would like to finish with the little clips. Actually, the clips is very old. I find it very impressive. It's a patient. He had to undergo knee operation and he had an allergy towards narcotics. So he was hypnotized, and the hypnosis was that the patient in his images went to his living room, and there he encountered a song by Phil Collins, "I'd Like to Dance." And what is surprising during the operation, the patient starts to sing. Just
I didn't know you realized the song.
yeah, for the surgeons, it must have been quite stressful when the patient starts to sing. But it worked. And with the interview afterwards, the patient was very happy and had a good knee again. So, questions maybe later on or outside, or if you have questions, that's up to you. So, final word, Martina. So we are actually through.
Okay. We are through with our presentation. Our intention was really to show a bit of our tradition and our work and how we can combine it in our work. And we think playing Alphorn is a good metaphor because it really takes some courage to do things, to produce unusual sounds. And that's, we hope that we can help our clients to do, to find their own voice, their own tunement, and to be in a good resonance, to stand out and have a feeling, where can I be in resonance and where should I go away?